My name is Alexandra Pierce. I'm 29 years old. 2 months ago, I sat in a conference room across from my mother, stepfather, and stepsister while they explained why they'd spent $340,000 from my trust fund on Chloe's wedding, house down payment, and lifestyle needs. My mother looked me straight in the eye and said, "Your father would have wanted his money to help both his daughters equally. Chloe is family now." Chloe wasn't my father's daughter. She was my stepfather's daughter. My father had been dead for 15 years. I sat there in shock while they presented documents supposedly authorizing the transfers. Official-looking papers with signatures and notary stamps. They'd clearly planned this carefully. Then the trustee, Mr. Robert Chen, who'd managed my father's estate since I was 14, leaned forward and asked one simple question. "Mrs. Pierce, if Alexandra's father wanted to provide for Chloe, why did he write his will 3 years before you ever met your second husband?" The room went silent. My mother's face drained of color. My stepfather started stammering, and Chloe looked confused, like she was just realizing she'd been used in a fraud scheme. Before I tell you what happened when Mr. Chen pulled out the original trust documents and threatened criminal charges, please like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from and what time is it there? I love hearing from all of you. Now, let me take you back to where this story really began. Growing up in Seattle, I learned early that my father's death at 42 would define the rest of my life in ways I couldn't imagine. My father, James Pierce, was a software engineer at Microsoft in the 1990s. He made careful investments, saved aggressively, and when he died suddenly from an undiagnosed heart condition, he left behind an estate worth $2.8 million. I was 14. My mother was 39. Our world shattered. Dad's will was clear and specific. My mother received the house, $800,000 in liquid assets, and his life insurance. I received $2 million in a trust that I'd get control of at age 30, with allowances for college and major life expenses before then. The trust was ironclad, managed by his colleague Robert Chen, with strict provisions about how the money could be used. My mother seemed fine with this arrangement at first. She had enough to live comfortably. I had a secure future. Dad had taken care of both of us. For 2 years, it was just us, Mom and me, grieving together, supporting each other, keeping Dad's memory alive. Then she met Richard Hartley at a grief support group. He was a widower with a 12-year-old daughter named Chloe. Within 6 months, they were engaged. Within a year, married. That's when everything changed. Chloe was pretty, outgoing, and utterly convinced the world revolved around her. Richard was a high school teacher who'd blown through his late wife's life insurance on bad investments. They moved into our house, the house my father bought, and suddenly I was expected to share everything. My room, my mother's attention, my life. But not my trust fund. That was untouchable. Mr. Chen made that very clear to my mother when she first asked about accessing it for family expenses. "The trust is for Alexandra's education and future," he'd said firmly. "I can't authorize distributions for anyone else." I was 17 when I first noticed the pattern. I got accepted to Stanford with partial scholarship. I was thrilled. Mr. Chen approved trust distributions for my tuition, room, and board as specified in the trust documents. That same month, Chloe wanted to go to USC Film School. No scholarship. Richard and Mom couldn't afford the $60,000 annual cost. At dinner, Mom said, "Alexandra, you have so much from your father's trust. Would you consider asking Mr. Chen if some of it could help Chloe? She's your sister now." "Half-sister," I corrected. "And no, Dad's trust is for my education." Mom's face hardened. "Your father would have wanted you to share. Family helps family." "Dad didn't know Chloe existed. This is my inheritance." Richard spoke up then. "That's a very selfish attitude, Alexandra. We're a blended family now." "Then blend your own money," I said. I went to Stanford. Chloe went to community college for 2 years, then transferred to a state school. She blamed me for ruining her dreams for years. At 22, I graduated with a degree in economics. Mr. Chen approved a trust distribution of $30,000 for a reliable used car and professional wardrobe for job interviews. It was all documented, all appropriate. That same year, Chloe graduated and wanted a $40,000 graduation gift for a new BMW and European vacation. Alexandra got $30,000 when she graduated. Mom argued to Mr. Chen over the phone, while I listened on extension. It's only fair Chloe gets something too. Mrs. Hartley, I can only authorize distributions for Alexandra's direct expenses as outlined in the trust, Mr. Chen said patiently. I can't give trust funds to your stepdaughter. Mom hung up furious. That night at dinner, she said, You know, Alexandra, some people in this family contribute. Some just take. I moved out the next month. For the next 7 years, I built my career in financial analysis. I rented a small apartment, saved my salary, visited my mother and Richard occasionally. The trust sat there, growing, waiting until I turned 30. Chloe, meanwhile, went through a series of jobs, relationships, and financial crises. Each time, Richard and Mom bailed her out, and each time they'd make comments about how if I shared the trust like family should, everyone's lives would be easier. I stopped visiting as much. Then last year, Chloe got engaged to a real estate developer named Marcus. Suddenly, Mom was calling me weekly about wedding plans, venue costs, and how wonderful it would be if we could give Chloe the wedding she deserves. I'm not paying for Chloe's wedding, I said flatly. I'm not asking you to pay for it, Mom said sweetly. I'm just saying that if you talk to Mr. Chen about accessing some of your trust early, just a little bit, we could make this day special for your sister. No. The wedding happened anyway. Lavish, expensive, at a waterfront venue. I received an invitation, but was asked to contribute $5,000 for my share of the family table. I declined to attend. That was 10 months ago. 3 months ago, Mr. Chen called me. Alexandra, I need to discuss something concerning with you. Can you come to my office? I went immediately. Mr. Chen looked troubled. I received a request for trust fund distributions totaling $340,000 over the past 8 months. The requests came from your mother, claiming they were for your wedding expenses, medical bills, and house down payment. My stomach dropped. I'm not married. I haven't had medical bills. I haven't bought a house. I know. That's why I'm calling you. The documentation provided shows your signature authorizing these distributions, but the signature doesn't match your actual signature on file. He showed me the papers. They looked official: bank routing information, notary stamps, and signatures that looked like mine but weren't. This is fraud, I whispered. Yes, I've been stalling the requests pending verification, but I need you to know that someone is attempting to access your trust using forged documents. I felt sick. My mother did this. I can't make accusations without proof, but I need you to file a police report and come to a formal meeting where we confront whoever submitted these documents. That's how I ended up in Mr. Chen's conference room 2 weeks later, facing my mother, Richard, and Chloe. Mr. Chen had been strategic. He'd told my mother he needed to finalize the distribution requests in person and requested all parties be present. Mom thought she was about to get the money. When I walked in, her face went pale. Alexandra, what are you doing here? This is her trust fund, Mr. Chen said calmly. She has the right to be present for any distribution discussions. We all sat. Mr. Chen laid out the documents on the table. Mrs. Hartley, you've submitted requests for $340,000 in distributions from Alexandra's trust. These documents show Alexandra's signature authorizing the funds. However, Alexandra denies signing them or authorizing any distributions. Mom's face flushed. That's ridiculous. Alexandra agreed to help her sister. She signed everything. I never signed anything, I said. Chloe spoke up, confused. Mom said you wanted to help with my wedding and house, that you'd talk to the trust guy and it was all arranged. I never said that. Richard jumped in. This is just like you, Alexandra. Always keeping score. Your father's money has been sitting there doing nothing while your sister struggled. Your mother was just trying to make things fair. Fair? I stared at him. My father left that money specifically for me. You have no claim to it. Chloe has no claim to it. And apparently you all committed fraud to try to steal it. We didn't steal anything, Mom insisted. The money was used for family purposes. Your father would have wanted his money to help both his daughters. That's when Mr. Chen leaned forward. Mrs. Pierce, he said quietly, if Alexandra's father wanted to provide for Chloe, why did he write his will 3 years before you ever met your second husband? The room went silent. Mom opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. If he'd known Chloe would be family. But she wasn't family when he wrote the will, Mr. Chen continued. She wasn't his daughter. She wasn't his responsibility. He left his money to his biological daughter, Alexandra, with very specific instructions that I, as trustee, am legally obligated to follow. He pulled out another folder. I have here the original trust documents, signed by James Pierce in 2008. The trust provisions explicitly state that distributions are to be made only for Alexandra's benefit, only with her written consent for major expenses, and only after verification of her signature. He slid papers across the table. These signatures you submitted don't match Alexandra's signature on file. These bank accounts the money was to be deposited into belong to Chloe Hartley and Richard Hartley, not Alexandra Pierce. And according to my investigation, $127,000 went to Chloe's wedding expenses, $165,000 went to a down payment on a house titled in Chloe and Marcus's names, and $48,000 went to paying off Richard's credit card debt. Chloe went white. Mom, you said Alexandra approved this. She should have. Mom's voice rose. She has millions just sitting there while we struggle. It's not fair that James left everything to her and nothing to our family. He left $800,000 to you, I said quietly. Plus the house, plus life insurance. You had plenty. You just spent it. Richard stood up. We don't have to listen to this. We're leaving. Sit down, Mr. Hartley, Mr. Chen said. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried authority. Because if you leave this room, my next call is to the police to report identity theft, fraud, and attempted embezzlement of trust funds. However, if you stay, we might be able to resolve this civilly. They sat. Mr. Chen continued. Here are your options. Option 1. You repay the full $340,000 within 30 days. If you can't pay in full, we'll set up a payment plan with legal documentation and interest. You also sign documents acknowledging the attempted fraud and agreeing to never approach this trust again. We don't have $340,000, Richard said. Then you'll make payments. 20-year plan at 7% interest comes to about $2,600 per month. Richard's face went red. That's more than my take-home salary. Then I suggest you figure it out. Option 2. I file criminal charges for fraud and attempted theft. The forged signatures alone are felonies. You'll be arrested, likely convicted, and Alexandra can pursue civil judgments for damages on top of the criminal penalties. Mom started crying. Please, Alexandra, don't do this to us. We're family. Family doesn't steal from each other, I said. Chloe was pale, staring at her hands. I didn't know, she said quietly. Mom told me you'd agreed to help, that it was your idea. I didn't know it was fraud. I looked at her, really looked at her. She'd been awful to me for years, entitled and demanding. But right now, she looked genuinely shocked. Did you know where the down payment for your house came from? I asked. Mom said it was a gift from you. She showed me papers that looked official. I thought, she swallowed hard, I thought you'd finally decided to be a real sister. By forging my signature? I didn't know it was forged. I thought you'd signed. Tears ran down her face. Oh my God. Marcus and I bought a house with stolen money. The house will have to be sold, Mr. Chen said, not unkindly. The proceeds from the sale will go toward repaying the trust. Any shortfall will need to be covered by Mrs. Hartley and Mr. Hartley. We can't afford that, Mom whispered. You should have thought of that before you committed fraud. Mr. Chen's voice was ice. I've been managing this trust for 15 years. I made a promise to James Pierce on his deathbed that I would protect his daughter's inheritance. I take that promise seriously. He pulled out more documents. I've already filed a preliminary report with the bank's fraud department. They've frozen the accounts where the money was deposited. The funds haven't been fully dispersed yet. We can recover approximately $180,000 immediately. What about the rest? I asked. The wedding expenses are gone. The credit card payments are gone. But the house can be sold. If it sells for what you paid, that's $165,000 recovered. You'll be short about $95,000, which your mother and stepfather will need to repay. Mom looked at Richard. Richard looked devastated. We'll have to sell our house, he said. The house that belonged to my father, I pointed out. The house that was supposed to be my childhood home. Yeah, you might have to sell it to repay the money you stole from my father's daughter. The meeting ended with signed documents. Chloe and Marcus agreed to sell their house immediately. Mom and Richard agreed to a repayment plan for the shortfall. Everyone signed affidavits acknowledging the fraud and agreeing to stay away from my trust. In exchange, I agreed not to press criminal charges. I could still file charges, Mr. Chen told me after they left. This was serious fraud. I know, but I want this over. I want them out of my life, not in prison where I'd have to think about them for years. He nodded. Your father would be proud of how you handled this. That was 2 months ago. Chloe's house sold last week. She and Marcus are living with his parents, working on rebuilding trust in their marriage that was damaged by finding out their house was bought with fraud money. She sent me an apology text. I haven't responded yet. Mom and Richard sold their house, my father's house, 3 weeks ago. They're renting a small apartment and making monthly payments of $2,200 to the trust. They'll be paying for the next 8 years to cover the shortfall plus interest. They haven't spoken to me since the meeting. My trust is intact. The stolen money is being recovered, and in 3 months, when I turn 30, I'll take full control of it all. But something else happened that I didn't expect. Mr. Chen and I have lunch every few weeks now. He tells me stories about my father, things I never knew, business deals Dad made, jokes he told, the day I was born and how terrified and thrilled Dad was. Your father was my best friend, Mr. Chen told me last week. When he died, I lost more than a friend. But managing your trust gave me a way to keep my promise to him, to make sure his daughter was protected. You saved me, I said. If you hadn't caught the fraud, I would have caught it. I always check signatures. I always verify requests, because that's what I promised James I'd do. He pulled out an envelope. Your father wrote you a letter before he died. He left it with me to give you when you took control of your trust. I think you should have it now. I opened it with shaking hands. The letter was dated a week before my father died. He'd been having chest pains but dismissed them as stress. My dearest Alexandra, it began. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry I won't be there to see you grow up, graduate, fall in love, build your life. But I want you to know that everything I worked for, every investment I made, every dollar I saved, was for you and your mother. I've set up a trust that will keep you secure even if I can't be there. Robert Chen is managing it. He's the most honest man I know. Trust him. trust the plan, and know that even though I'm not there, my love for you will always protect you. Love, Dad. I cried reading it. Then I read it again. He knew, I said to Mr. Chen. He knew something might happen and he wanted to protect me. James was always careful, always planning ahead, and he loved you more than anything in the world. Here's what I've learned. Some people see inheritance as something they're entitled to. My mother looked at my father's money and decided she deserved access to it, regardless of what his will said. She convinced herself that because she was his widow and Chloe was her daughter, they had equal claim to money he'd specifically left for me. But inheritance isn't about fairness to people who didn't earn it. It's about honoring the wishes of someone who worked for that money and chose how to distribute it after death. My father didn't owe Richard anything. He didn't owe Chloe anything. He'd never met them. They had no relationship to him except through my mother's second marriage. Yet my mother felt so entitled to money that wasn't hers that she committed fraud to access it. She forged my signature. She lied to her daughter. She put everyone at risk of criminal charges because she believed she deserved something my father never intended to give her. And when caught, she still tried to frame it as fairness, as family helping family. But here's what she never understood. My father was my family. Mr. Chen, who kept his promise to a dead friend for 15 years, is my family. The trust my father set up to protect me is my family. People who steal from you aren't family. They're just relatives who feel entitled to what you have. If you're watching this and you have someone in your life who feels entitled to your inheritance, your trust fund, your money just because you're related, please hear me. You don't owe them access to what was left to you. You don't have to share just because they claim family should help family. Your inheritance is yours. Whether it's $1,000 or $1 million, it was given to you by someone who wanted you to have it. Protecting that isn't selfish. It's honoring the person who gave it to you. Get professionals involved. Use trustees, lawyers, financial advisors who work for you, not for people trying to guilt you into giving them access. Document everything. Verify signatures. Question requests that seem off. And if you find out someone has stolen from your inheritance, don't let guilt keep you quiet. Don't let, but their family, stop you from pursuing justice. My father worked his entire adult life to build security for me. Protecting that money isn't just protecting dollars, it's protecting his legacy, his love, his final gift to me. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you dealt with family members who felt entitled to your inheritance? How did you protect yourself? What would you advise others in similar situations? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story helped you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And remember, just because someone is related to you doesn't mean they get a vote in how you use what was left to you by someone who loved you. In 3 months, I turn 30. I'll take full control of my trust, and I'll use it exactly how my father intended, to build a secure, independent life, to pursue opportunities without fear, to know that even 15 years after his death, his love still protects me. That's what inheritance is really about. Not money. Love that outlasts death. And no amount of guilt or fraud can steal that from me.